You're listening to episode 261 of the Super League Pod. Lockdown or get loose, either way we're talking about 13s this week as we run through your favourite loose forwards. Some things in life you choose, some you don't, but we've got a great group to choose from at this position. We also get our poll out at listener request and have some actual rugby league news to discuss. Your weekly dose of speculation and counter-speculation about the game starting again is also included, so get strapped in, or ideally cycle or walk if possible. It's SLP time. Hello listeners, welcome along to episode 261 of the Super League Pod. This week we'll be talking about loose forwards, and to go through that you've got myself, Mark, and we're joined by Alan. Alan, how are you doing?
Yes, very well, thank you. Yes, all well here. Good
stuff. Quick shout out to Tim's teeth. Hopefully they're on the recovery. There with the teeth issues that has been keeping Tim out of action for a little bit, so hopefully all's okay there. And one of Sarah's kids has had a bicycle accident, so get well soon, Anna, from that. And we haven't got any specials on this week as well either, but we've got some next week, which is a tease. We'll tell you more about that, I suppose, at the end of the show. But before we get into what's on this show, Alan, do you want to tell us who is sponsoring this episode of the Super League Pod?
Yep, so this episode is sponsored by Rob's Toy Shop. You can find a wide range of toys, gifts, rugby league birthday cards and more at Rob's Toy Shop on eBay. Visit stores.ebay.co.uk/Rob's Toy Shop, and on any orders over £5 you can earn 5% cash back, and 1% of your order value will go into the SLP coffers by putting SLP discount at checkout.
Great stuff. Thanks to Rob's Toy Shop for continued support. Rob is too busy at the moment, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't keep making orders to Rob's Toy Shop. It just means that he won't be able to play part in any of our quizzes or anything like that, unfortunately. But please do keep supporting our sponsors and partners. On the show this week, we're gonna talk in just a second about the poll that we ran during the week about what would happen if games restarted behind closed doors, because kind of a news kind of situation crossing over there that it looks like professional sport will be good to go from the 1st of June, providing no setbacks happen in the staying aware plan. Staying alert phase of coronavirus protection.
Always be alert.
So we'll talk a little bit around the poll that we did over the weekend anyway. Then we've got the news, and probably slightly more in the way of actual news about the game rather than coronavirus news for the most part in the news, but there's a bit of both to touch on. We've got a few match reviews. People seem to pick up on the Clash of the Codes and a couple of other things that we'll talk about. Then it's loose forwards, Alan, and we've got some great fan views in on loose forwards to talk through, and I think people have covered most of them off. Sarah was going to be delivering the quiz, but I've been sent the quiz, so you'll be getting quizzed. Right, okay. So sorry, I don't know how the quiz is going to play with only one player, but hopefully people at home can enjoy that. But yeah, that's what we've got coming up on this episode. But speaking of quizzes, I just want to thank everyone who took part in the SLP pub quiz that we did in the week, and thanks obviously to our wonderful host Dave Cantrell. I say wonderful, he was pretty difficult. He had some tough questions. It was kind of a pub quiz where you learnt stuff rather than one where you were like, oh, I knew that. But it was really good. Good fun. It was a short quiz, and it was a good time, and everyone sort of hung around for a bit after the quiz chatting as well, which was nice. It was nice to see a few people from the SLP family and that sort of stuff. So thanks to Dave to putting that together. And we've kind of worked out how we need to do these things if we're doing them over Zoom, because the first call got hacked by some people who wanted to argue about race relations. It seemed to be. I'm not sure what was going on there, but anyway, we got the second quiz up and running, and it was the second Zoom meeting up and running, sort of more on the down low, and that worked out well. We had a good group involved. Congratulations to Joshua's granddad, John Scotter. He won. He won by half a point ahead of Sandy Shipley, so it was a close run thing. I think myself, Sarah, we were down the other end of the of the charts to John and Sandy, but well done to those guys. They kept it competitive and exciting right to the end. So thanks to that. But yeah, we did a poll over the weekend, over the bank holiday weekend, and I'll tell you for why it came about, Alan. One of our listeners, who's also one of the kind of sponsors who supports the show, Dom, got in touch and he said, "Will you run a poll?" So I said, "Okay."
So Dom asked you to get your poll out, and you were more than happy to oblige.
Dom asked me to get my poll out, and of course I would not refuse Mr. Hodgson sheathing of my poll. So the poll was kind of really around whether people want season ticket refunds or not with the way things are shaping up, Al. So we'll go through some of the feedback we've had, but let's give the results. So what was the question we asked, first of all?
So the question was, if the season restarted behind closed doors, would you want to watch your team's games online or on TV, and how would you feel as season ticket holders? So of the people that got back to us, 82% said great, yep, they were quite happy for that to go ahead, and they were happy to support their club in that way. Just 15% suggested they might want a refund on what they'd been already paid, and 3% said something else. I don't know what that anything else could have possibly been.
Yeah, so other was kind of a other reply with what other was option. I think we got a lot of replies. I'm not sure how many of those people voted other, or how many people voted one of the main two, which was that's great, or that they'd want a refund because they're not going to be able to go to these games. Even if they could watch them, it's not the same for those people, sort of thing. So I'm not really sure how many of these responses were people who selected other. However, we got some responses. Oh, I've missed a response off there somehow. I don't know how that's happened. So I'll dig that out whilst you take us through the first of those responses.
Yep, so the first person to get in touch was Tom Andrews, and Tom said they can keep my money, but for some sort of reward. A free shirt next year or some other merch would be nice. If not, I won't be bitter about it. Just want a club to go back to and watch next year. There's also an argument to void the season and revert to winter rugby, restarting the season in October or November. That's an interesting idea. I do have an idea about it, but I'll wait until we've gone through everything else before we go over that one. Sean Bruiser 664 says they should come up with a free subscription to the online platform for the rest of the year. And then he said credit card details required and defaults to auto renew after free subscription period ends. Taking the Amazon approach to subscripts.
Well, it's how a lot of those subscription services out there for everything, work nowadays, isn't it? Magazines or beer subscriptions or whatever. Everyone does a free trial, but you have to put your details in, which is one way of getting people's information.
Yes, I mean, I guess
database.
Yeah, and they also know what percentage of people will forget or don't are not that stringent about cancelling, and certain people will they'll pay once and then they'll cancel, that kind of stuff. I'm sure that's all well established kind of in the marketing handbook about what that would mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Dom himself said, I voted to support the club.
I know, Dom replied to his poll.
Oh, right. Yeah. It's getting very meta. But I do feel the club has to do something for season ticket holders. Expecting a free season ticket next season isn't going to happen, but 50% off or a free shirt or something has to be considered. There's a moral question at the moment where clubs are still taking monthly payments for season tickets when realistically I don't think anyone is going to watch a rugby game in person this year other than the staff. Yeah, you're probably right, I would say.
Well, yeah, we'll talk a little bit about what the government have laid out, and thankfully today, as we record, Monday, the 11th of May, there's a bit more meat on the bones than there was if we were recording this on Sunday, the 10th of May, around those plans, which is helpful. Luke Fairburn at Luke Fairburn7 said, some season ticket holders pay monthly, so I'd guess a lot have cancelled payments. Mine's bought outright. Personally, I'm not too fussed about it. Everyone needs to stay safe, including the players. Just cancelling the season is the only sensible answer. Then New Then Lad said, I pay the full amount on Rovers Forever and Legends, and whilst I'm not bothered about a refund, I think providing it can be safely organised, I'd pay the extra to watch live rugby league again, or most other sports for that matter. So obviously New Then Lad is really striving for some live sport that they don't care if they've already paid for it, they'd pay again. So that's a real big tick in the support the club bracket.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's yes. Some people are more desperate than others for the return of live sport.
Yeah. Who's next?
So Dave French says, I'm in Australia, but I voted to support the club based on that I'm a member of the Manly Sea Eagles and have pledged my 2020 membership fee to them. It's great to support your club for all the years of enjoyment if you can afford to. If you can't, then support them proudly anyway.
Marley Stay at Home at Marley7564 said, the only thing that seems fair to me is a refund or a discount on the 2021 season tickets, e.g. 60% off if 60% of 2020's games are missed.
Interesting. And on this one, Wyanox says, I'd be disgusted if this season is to go ahead with no vaccine. Deaths are still happening and social distancing in place, yet a contact sport can go ahead. Yeah. It's...
Yeah, I found a couple of other ones.
Go on.
So, Fatboy Rob said, I'd support the club if the season was voided. They can keep my season ticket money, but there's no way matches should go ahead behind closed doors. Without fans, the sport is nothing. It's a moot point, though, as the sport doesn't have the finance to do the testing needed to play. And then Stephen Sewell at DUK 1739 says, as long as it was free online pass for pass holders and a small fee for non-pass holders, I'd be fine. Keeping paying the pass this season. If it was free for all or all charged, I'd be pissed off. So there's a few things to unpack there, isn't there? And this is behind the backdrop of, it looks like professional sport might be able to resume in the country from June the 1st onwards, based on government announcements today, so long as things don't change in the current position of infection rates and that sort of stuff, because the government seem quite happy with those numbers, even though, obviously there's lots of people who are very dissatisfied and sad about those numbers and angry about those numbers, confused about this sort of thing. But the government have set out a path out of this, and one of those steps in it is the step that we're probably more capable of talking about without pissing too many people off, and that's about live sport from the 1st of June, but it will be behind closed doors. It looks like very unlikely, looking down the path, that from July there'd be maybe some sort of ability to have something where spectators are watching, but it would have to be very restricted in numbers, I would think, and not the style of congregating together in the middle of a standing terrace that we normally see for rugby league. And then we sort of don't know what the roadmap looks like to use one of those bullshit terms, after that phase at the moment. But at least something's been put in place, and the RFL are working with the clubs. They've sort of come out to sort of say a summarisation of what that means. So go on the Rugby League's website and you'll see that press release, basically. A summary of what this means for our sport at the moment. There's no firm plans for a date at the moment for when sport will resume, but it's very clear that we're working towards resuming the sport behind closed doors.